I'm Gerald Okimura. The aim of these seminars will be to cover the many aspects of refereeing and officiating at judo tournaments, regardless of level. The sessions are based on the IJF Sports and Organization Rules document and the IJF rules, refereeing rules contained within. Everybody, including athletes, coaches, instructors, parents, and especially referees, should have a copy of the rules and be familiar with it. If you don't have one, a copy can be found on the Judo Ontario website under referees section, which can be found under the development or the volunteer menu. It can also be found at on the IJF website under documents, referee commission. These sessions are scheduled for 2 hours to conform with Judo Canada's requirements in order to make this series pointable towards Yudansha grade. This session and the next one will be open to all who wish to participate. However, all following sessions will require attendees to be member of Judo Ontario or be a provincial member in good standing. There's no charge or fee for attending these sessions. These sessions are meant to be interactive, so if you have any questions, please ask. There'll be an opportunity for questions and answers at the end of the session if they are off today's topic. But please, unless you're asking a question or speaking, keep your mic on mute. The first session is presented by Anne-Laurent and Arja, which will cover referee judges, roles and responsibilities, referee development and progression, and basic score evaluation. I hope you enjoyed today's seminar. Anne-Laurent and Arja, take it away, please.
Thank you. So maybe to give a chance to everyone to log, and for the pleasure of your eyes, we will run a 2-minute video. And I should be able to listen, just to leave everyone's time. Thank you. I was seeing the smile coming off the face, on the face of each one, actually on the face of each one while we were watching. It's been a long time since we have not seen some judo, so it was nice to see that. So as Jerry was mentioning, all the rules are available on the IGF referee rule, which is a document that you can download anytime on the IGF website or on the Ontario website.
Actually, as well, if you can you just go back for a second?
Yeah.
You open your your smartphone camera, and you point it at the code in the middle of the screen there. It'll lead you directly to that document. Okay, so when we started talking about this session, we wanted to find out people attending, why do people choose to referee? What do they get from it? And part of the goal of this session is to encourage those who are thinking about refereeing but haven't yet done so, to kind of give them that extra little push to give it a try. So I first started out by reaching out to one of our young referees who's only refereed once so far, just before the world went crazy last year. And I've asked Anne Lee if she could speak to this. Anne, are you available? Are you on? Let's see if she's able to unmute. Okay, I don't see her on yet. But I was just curious if there was anyone who is willing to speak up and share with us what has refereeing done for you? Why do you do it? You know, there are long days. It's sometimes stressful, and yet referees come back time and time again. And so I'd be interested to know if anyone's willing to share their perspectives on why do you referee?
RJ?
Yes.
Andre Udevikin from Typhoon Judo Club.
Thank you, Andre. How are you?
Not so bad, not so bad. How are you?
Good.
Well, I started refereeing, I believe, 2 years ago because my kids were competing as well as me. And it helps me to learn judo. It helps me to learn the rules and helps me to compete myself and to teach my kids as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Is there anybody else who's willing to share?
Yes, Ed Spike here.
Hi, Ed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I find it's very comforting to meet with other people in the sport. It's not the only sport I've done besides judo, and I appreciate it in soccer and softball, and men's Canadian softball. And you get to learn about different thinking, and you get better help in mentoring when you have other people at the same level. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. So I'll invite anybody else who would like to speak up. For myself, I think at the time when I started, which wasn't all that long ago, actually, it was because I had competed and I had done a lot of coaching, and I fancied myself, to be honest with you, I fancied myself something of a coach's chair referee, you know, a spectator referee. And I have to say that I didn't really expect, I didn't really anticipate how much more there is when suddenly the pressure is on you to make the decision in the middle of the mat. It's very easy to be up in the safety of the stands and have an opinion, but it's a little more challenging when you've got all these other things going on around you and you have to make the decision. And I found the challenge was really what I enjoyed. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush in a way, I think. Does anybody else have any comments they'd like to add?
If you don't mind, I'll put in my two bits too.
Sure.
So initially, when I started refereeing, along with Daryl, we were kind of told you need to start refereeing. Once we got on the mat, we found it. Personally, I found it really rewarding to be back. By that time, most of my competitive spirit has gone. I did a couple of masters tournaments, but most of my competitive days were gone. And I found refereeing was able to keep me involved in judo and to give back for what all judo has done for me. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why I referee. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, I can
I'd like
share.
to just add to what Jerry said. I come from a way back, and we were you take. So if we want to, and one of the things we put back in is I went through my refereeing time, and then you go through your coaching time. So you're always contributing, and this is the only way we're going to stay around, is to keep our sport alive, is to put back in. You can't take all the time and then just go away.
Agreed. Awesome. Thank you.
So maybe I can chip in.
Oh,
Yeah, from my side. Yeah, on my side, judo has always been part of my life. So even before practicing, I've been watching judo and enjoying the throw. And then it was even at the time of the yuko and the koka, and I was scoring in my head. So and then I started my judo career. So back in France, it's a part of the model that you have to do actually before you get your black belt, is getting a bit of refereeing. So and then I really like the thrill of the competition, like everyone was saying. And like when you go on the mat, it's only you, your opponent, and the ref. You don't realize when you're a competitor that you have the ref actually in the middle, but it's really an important piece, and it's just up to you. And that's where I really liked about the competition, and I was missing it. So when did I really switch for refereeing? I cannot say that we switch for refereeing. We always do a bit of scoring in our head, like Archer was saying, in a stand, from when you say, or when you watch a match. And even at my judo club, we always do some at the end of the class, the fight the line. So kind of a mini shy at the end of the day. And then I was doing the refereeing. So actually one day Archer was at our club, and she said, you know what, do you want to do it officially? Do you want to give it a try? And I didn't think about it. So maybe among all of you might not think about it, but it could be an option. So anyway, I attended one of the preliminary webinar like we have today. So obviously in a gi on the mat, way more fun, I would say, but we'll get it. And then I've been asked to try the next official provincial competition, and then that's how it became official, because now you're wearing a suit. And then I realized that day that I knew refereeing, but I didn't know anything. I had to learn, actually. Obviously, I knew the scoring. I knew how a fight evolved, when to say mate, hajime. That's part of daily life as a judoka. But all the ceremonial, I had to learn that, where to place myself on the mat. That's something that sounds really easy, but actually you have to be at the right place. The penalty is also another one that we are still learning every day. So all of that together, actually, it really decided me. At the end of the day, it had been a really, really long day, but I got tired. Actually, it was really tiring, but at the end of the day, I was able to find back that thrill of the competition when I'm the middle of the mat. Plus another something else, which is we are the guardian of the mat, and we are the one actually making sure that both fighters have equal chance to win, and that added to the thrill of the competition. So overall, that's what decided me to continue. And sometimes there are really long days. I trust me, the day are really long when you have to stay on the side, really stay focused. And when I lose that focus, I try to remind myself why I'm here. And as some of you said a bit before, it's the fact that we are all together that make it the fun part.
This is Paul Prue from the North region. Being from the smallest region in Judo, Ontario by far, if you don't get involved in refereeing, you won't be getting any tournaments. So I was actually probably 15 years old when I started refereeing at the tournaments. I've been trying to do one provincial tournament a year, but you know, a tournament for me down south is an 8-hour drive, $1,000 expense, but it's part of judo. It's what allows me to bring back to the club and try to better my students. So that's why I do it.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. Okay, that's great, Anne-Laurence. Thank you.
Okay, so there, for those who are interested, don't hesitate. There is a path actually to become a referee, and honestly, you just need to know a little bit of judo. There is not many limitations. Just know, bring your judo, be ready on the mat, and then the rest we will help you to grow actually. So and then little by little you can advance. So the first level is Ontario regional, and then you can become provincial B and then provincial A. And then if you decide to get even further on the national level, there is the national C, B, and A. You have 3 levels in national. At that point, the recommendation is made by the Judo Ontario Referee Committee, and the evaluation is done by the Judo Canada Referee Committee. And then if you continue to grow, you can go to continental and become also international. So we will try a bit more fun, just try to be a bit active. So the first question that we will be asking to everyone is what is the role of the referee? So you should see on your screen a poll. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
So we propose few answers. Is it to steal the show, to decide on a winner for the match, to give out penalties, all the above, or none of the above? I'll give 5 more seconds to answer. Okay, answers are still changing. Okay, I think very good.
I always thought that the role of the referee was to give the fighters a fair evaluation of the rules.
Yes, definitely. So I don't know if you, can you see the sharing of the results?
Yes, it's showing.
Okay, okay. Decide the winner of the match. That's one of the answer. Okay, so let me. So actually, the role of the referee, per the guide, officially, the quote directly is the referees are the guards of the physical, cultural, philosophical expression of judo. So that's the official definition. What does that mean is, so different rules and different conditions that you have to meet. So first of all is your position and your function as a referee. Is to, first thing that you have to do is get familiar with your with the mat, the condition of the environment, obviously the different sound, the location of the binnacle table. It might sound silly, but when you're in the middle of the mat, if you have to call right away the medics, you have to know which side you have to point. So it's important to know that where they are located. For those who have not seen, or those who are used, we check our radio. That's one thing that is distributed to everyone on the team. And the first thing is you have to make sure that your radio is working. You are on the right channel with your team, with your table, because usually you have different table. during a competition. So make sure it is your own table, and go check. Even going in the middle of the mat. Make sure, obviously, that the mat is clean. There is no gap. There is nothing left on the ground that can hurt the fighters. Make sure also there is obviously nobody on the mat. That sounds obvious, but also sometimes, I don't know if you notice, we ask in the public to remove your flash. It's because it can interfere with the fight itself. So that's all the responsibility of the referee that goes on the mat or goes on the mat. Make sure that everything is in order. We mention it. Obviously, also within the contest, make sure that you conduct the context and give the right decision. So not just verbally, but also at the table. Make sure that the decision is being recorded at the table per what you say, especially Wasari or the Judo, and to the right side. We can ask the referee to leave the competition area, but is a short period. Otherwise, you really remain on your mat, sorry, until you're being asked. And maybe the last thing I could mention is the position of the judoka. So as you see on the picture, the white is always on your right, as the blue is always on the left. And then you make sure that before they enter the fight area, that their gi has a proper length, there is no blood on the gi itself, that they are ready to fight.
Okay.
So now, yeah, go ahead.
So the next poll question, since the first one went so well, we're going to try is, what is the role of the judges? Okay. And don't worry, the answers are all anonymous. We don't see a report of who's put what. So please make sure you register your answers.
Maybe we can read the question, the answer. Well.
Oh yeah, could you?
Oh yeah. What is the role of the judge? To make sure the referee doesn't make mistakes, to overrule the referee, nothing, they are just for sure, all of the above or none of the above. Okay, I'll share the result. Make sure the referee doesn't make mistake. Yeah, I believe that's the right thing. Let's go through it.
Okay, so the two judges are actually referees from the team, and their role is to be a team or partners with the center referee. So they're there to support and to just be that extra 2 pairs of eyes, so that any decisions have to be a best 2 out of 3 decision. So they sit at a table at the mat side and they communicate with the center referee with the walkie-talkies, as I'm sure everybody's seen. So if the judges notice that there's something with the scoreboard, sometimes the scorekeepers miss putting something up, or they put it on the wrong side. If the referee doesn't notice it themselves, then the judges help out by just letting the referee know that the score has been posted to the wrong side, and then the referee contact will communicate with the scorekeepers to have the score changed over. So the other thing that the judges will do is if there's an athlete that has to change their pants, or they have a blood injury and they have to leave the mat, one of the judges will go and stand at the medical with the athlete and the medical, just to make sure that everything's done appropriately. Or sometimes if the athlete has to leave the mat side directly to go change, then one of the judges will typically go with them. So the last point on this slide references that if they're not same gender as the athlete, they might designate someone else to go do that. And I actually had that happen with me once at the elite nationals, there was a young girl who had to change her pants. And so I was asked, I wasn't even refereeing on that mat, but I was the closest person that they found. And I went with her to the ladies' room so that she could change her pants, and then escorted her back just to make sure that that's all that happened, that she just changed her pants and came back. Okay, thanks. Next slide.
So I was mentioning the different level for the past, and maybe Jerry, do you mind going through the evaluation?
Sure. Starting a couple of years ago, based on at the request of the National Referee Committee, we started doing progressive evaluations. All these evaluations are being used at all levels, at IGF level, the national and provincial levels. We don't use this to try to pick on anybody and make them look bad. We use it to track the development and progression of your officiating skills. Usually marked out of 10, nobody gets 10. That's kind of reserved for the IGF world level referees. At the national level, they're looking for a progressive score of 6 and above. They want to have a consistency of referees at the national level. So that's like the Canadian National Championships and the elite that's usually held in Montreal. For the provincial level, for our level, we really would like to see everybody around the 5.5 and above mark. We'd like to try to work people up towards that area and make everybody consistent. Again, we use this for identifying areas of improvement and discuss more with the experienced referees. So we're not using this for belittling any of the referees. You know, if you get a lower score, it's to try to make you understand what you might need in order to improve. And then, you know, once you get your score, you can talk to some of the more experienced referees who might be able to help you elevate that score. It's also used, we use it, the referee committee uses it as an empirical measure to help evaluate candidates for promotion at the provincial level and recommend candidates for the evaluation at the national level. But all in all, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Instead, learn from them and improve. I don't want to go through each of the good and not so good points here, but I want to talk about a couple of points that they have listed here. So match, control, posture, movement, and voice. These all work in tandem. You have to have all of these to be able to control a match, to sound confident and not sound overbearing. Try not to panic. You know, sometimes a lot of things are going on at the same time, especially on a high level match where the action is very exciting. Sometimes we can get caught up in the action, plus the audience and spectators are screaming and yelling and cheering. We can easily get caught up in all the excitement. Trying to make the right call or changing calls or getting in the wrong position. These are all kind of what we look at when looking for people with for controlling the matches. A loud, clear voice with positive gestures and movement is very important. Your voice carries, particularly to the fighters, to the contestants. In a loud area, in a loud auditorium where there's a lot of cheering going on, sometimes the contestants can't hear what you're saying. So you need to have a loud voice to go over that din. The gestures are required for your judges and for the table. so that they can pick up the right score and they know, the judges understand what you are doing. Teamwork. Your team includes everybody, judges, mat chief, the commission, the chief referee, but also the timekeepers and the other officials, all the volunteers. All of these people are important in helping run the tournament. You know, a lot of these volunteers are fixing the mats or putting down the mats. The timekeepers, these are all volunteer positions, especially at the provincial our level. We're all volunteers, so we should all work as a team. Try not to you know, have a bad attitude towards them. Try to make them feel welcome. Don't make them feel too bad. In particular, for the referees and judges, the central referee and the judges should be in communication. And I put that in quotes on my paper here. They should be in communication via the radio, the walkie-talkie, or by eye contact. You notice that a lot of the more senior referees or more experienced referees, there's not a lot of conversation over the walkie-talkie between the referees and the judges. A lot of it is while you're keeping a lot of your eye on the fight, you kind of keep a side peripheral vision towards where the judges are, and you can notice what they're doing or making their move, whether they agree with your call or don't agree with their call. A lot of times they'll even do small hand signals, like they won't raise a hand over their head for an ippon. Maybe they'll go like this for an ippon or like this for a wazari. All right. So this is a lot quicker than sometimes using the radio, because we find the radio has a slight delay before the voice goes over. For the judges should make any changes they want expediently. There shouldn't be a conversation between the two judges. Did you think that was Eddie? Nah, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe kind of side, too much front side. It should be, was Eddie? Yes, no. And that's all the conversation should be. If they agree with what the call on the mat is, they don't say anything. If they disagree, it's got to be agreed on. The change has to be agreed on with the two judges. One of the other big points is negative judo. I find for less experienced referees, it's sometimes difficult for them to recognize defensive posture, false attack, lack of attacking. These are all negative judo penalties. And it's not really a penalty towards the offender. It's more of a reward for the other person wanting to compete. We're also looking for when we're using these progressive evaluations, we're looking at the higher level referees to identify these tactics much more readily. Mentoring. Experienced referees should be helping out those who are less experienced, both on and off the mat. The mat chiefs usually assigned to that table can usually watch and offer critiquing to the on-mat referee and provide positive comments and help. Confrontational advice should be avoided, such as, you know, what did you do that for? Or you're wrong, right? So try to be a little bit more gracious when you're mat chief. And for the person accepting the advice and mentoring, the offered advice should be accepted graciously. This is true at all levels, whether it's you're a novice, a provincial A, a national, even at the international level. These advice is usually given by a higher level or more senior referee, and we should all accept the advice graciously. Even at my level, well, even at my level, not that I'm the greatest, but even I have been offered advice at the nationals. So please be aware that the information or the advice being given is in order to help you improve. And finally, participation. Late or arriving late, just before, arriving late or arriving just before. We kind of view this as maybe being a little bit disinterested. Why are you showing up if you're not that interested, right? Late arrivals, consistent late arrivals can be viewed as, not in a good light. Also, late arrivals to the morning meeting can result in you not being asked to referee that day. And that applies to all levels. I've seen it at a national tournament where an international referee arrived 2 minutes late and was told he wasn't going to be able to referee that day. Fragilization. Try to keep fragilization down to a minimum with athletes and coaches. It's fine to say hello, how are you, and ask how they are, but too much fraternization can be viewed as a conflict of interest. If somebody sees you talking with another coach or competitor, some other coaches and competitors might feel that you are favoring them if they happen to meet the same person on the mat.
Gerald, can
Yes.
I just jump in? There's a question there are a couple of questions in the chat related to your presentation.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
To you.
Referee stands call.
So there's one from Paul Barsketis asking if Judo Ontario has a rubric associated to evaluations.
Have a rubric. I'm not familiar with a rubric.
It's like a
form.
sort of a
Oh yes, yeah, we do.
Outlining the levels and what you're looking for, and sort
Yes.
of how do you get
Yes,
an A kind of chart.
Yeah, there is a form that we use. It's a national form which was given to us by Judo Canada. If everybody is interested, I can email it out. It's not a secret document or anything like that. It covers much of the same criteria that's listed on the screen. Yeah, we can email it out after the clinic.
Perfect.
If one of the judges says no score, and sorry, this okay, so if one of the judges says no score and the other judge says wazari and the referee says ippon, the only time a score is changed by the judges is if the two judges agree with what the change should be. So in the case where one judge says no score and the other judge says wazari, the score that is given by the referee changes. There has to be a consensus by everybody, by the judges before any changes are made. Previously, when the judges were on the mat, then it would be if one judge said no score, the other judge said wazari, and the referee said ippon, it would go down to the next lowest score. But since they're looking for agreement by the two judges, if the two judges can't agree with what they say, then there's no change. If and the referee calls stands, marking sheet. Sam Steele wrote marking sheet. I'm not sure what the comment is there.
Yeah, no, I think there is many people interested by that sheet,
Okay.
and then we should.
Yeah, so we can send it to everyone as a follow-up.
Can you please?
Yeah, and one more question was, would the mat chief look at it?
If it depends on, yeah, a lot of times the mat chief will review the video. So on the care system, which is our replay system, if the call is questionable, the mat chief has the option of looking at replaying that portion of it. If typically the mat chief should not interfere, but in the case where the call might be really bad. So if you go back to that example where the referee called Ippon and only one of the judges called no score. If it was a no score, then the mat chief would look at it and determine whether it was no score or not. And then if that was the case, then overrule the evaluation. But the majority of the time, the mat chief should not be involved in the evaluation of the score.
I don't think there were any further
Yeah,
questions.
that looks like it was it.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Jerry, do you have anything else to add to the evaluation? Or?
Yeah, just one other thing with regards to participation. Referees are referees. They're not coaches or cheerleaders. Just to let you know, coaching at a circuit tournament such as Quebec Open, Ontario Open, any of the provincial level tournaments, if you are a national A referee and you coach at one of those tournaments, you will not be selected to or considered to referee at the national level for a year. So please, if you want to coach, nobody's going to stop you. However, just be aware of the circumstances that what can happen. The other point is for our level, if you're a referee, you're a referee. But if you decide to take the day off and coach, we do not implement that that regulation, or I don't say regulation, that criteria. So if you decide you need to coach that day, please go ahead, but you cannot do both coaching and refereeing. We do allow referees to participate as a contestant in a shiai. So if you wish to compete during the day and also referee, that's fine. There's no conflict of interest there. Okay, that's about it. Any other questions?
Barry, are you just talking provincially on that?
Yeah. Yeah, so like the Asahi or Tora or any of those tournaments,
Okay.
Even at the Ontario Open, as long as you're not a national A referee.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Jerry. If there are any questions, don't hesitate. Just add it on the chat, and then we keep an eye on it, and we try to remain flexible and answer them one at a time. Okay, so
I'd like to make a comment, if I could, Ed Spike here. And it's happened a couple of times in years in Ontario and another province as well. The chief referee for the tournament, in several instances, walked on the mat with dirty shoes, never removed his shoes, and was yelling at the referee team from the side as he proceeded into the mat area. And there was higher ranking organizing people around, and nothing was done about it. And several people in the audience, when I went to the washroom, were asking me, how do they allow that to happen? And I says, I'm not commenting. And the other thing that was talking and not seeing what's happening. They come over and they start talking to the referee team at the table, and they're interrupting the processing that the judges are going through, and I think that has to be dealt with. And I've seen it at some other tournaments in other venues. And I just wanted that to be on the record as something that should be addressed and be watched. The other thing that came up that was part of that scenario in several tournaments was fresh judges we rotated, and they don't know how to push the button on the radios, and that's another thing. You have to know the mechanics of the button so you get it right. And they caused a lot of confusion. A couple of people from out of town in terms of the Ontario Open a couple of times. Thank you.
Well, Ed, thank you for your feedback. I think that's something that maybe we should take offline. I mean, where the referee committee is always interested in hearing feedback, but just for the interests of keeping on schedule for the webinar, if you don't mind, we'll push forward, but we're going to make note of your comments and maybe we can discuss them over the phone at another date. Would that be okay?
That's good. Put it in the notes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Ed.
Noted. So, okay, it's back to you, to all of you. I'll launch the third poll, the third question, which I hope is easy, but never know. What are the 4 criteria for IPON? So, different answers: speed, force, landing on the back, skillfully control until the end, big hair, or none of the above.
Oh yeah, what happened?
I think that one I can make it short. Okay, there is it. So speed, force, landing on the back, and obviously have a technique control until the end. So that's give me the transition to the evaluation of the IPON. This is the one that we are looking during a fight. And so we really want to see that speed, that force, having the uke falling on the back, and obviously having a technique which is controlled until the end of the landing. So just for the eyes, should see 2 short video. The first one is an IPON, and then another quick one. Just to remember what is an IPON. Technique, speed, force, you have everything, okay? On certain case, you can also have a rolling happening, and which will be considered as IPON. And this only is possible when you have no break during the landings. And that's really the difference that makes the difference in the evaluation of the points. So it is IPON when uke roll on the back, and you have the different rolling that can happen in the diagonal, each side, obviously completely on the back. When you enter Ouchigari or Sotogari, your uke will fall on the back, and also rolling on the top of the shoulder. So one trick, one thing that you want to look at is the back patch. This will really help you to see those diagonal and then those different direction and how it the uke is falling. There is also another situation where it's considered IPON is when uke try to avoid the throw and then try to bridge out of it. So bridging means head on the mat on the back with 1 or 2 feet on the ground and trying to arching the body. So here it's considered IPON because we don't want anyone to be hurt, and honestly, if it doesn't avoid, it's IPON falling on the back straight. And obviously, the rule has not changed in a while for those one. 2 wazari still equivalent of 1 IPON. Awazari, awazate IPON. Cannot really see me, sorry, but that's how you finish the contest. Then that's where we fall on for the next one, wazari. Not sure.
Okay. Did we not have a poll question here?
No, wazari is
Oh,
more
no,
complicated.
that's
I
right,
would
we
say.
didn't. Yes, that's right. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, we decided not to because actually I think most people, both coaches, athletes, spectators, referees are pretty good, pretty competent at recognizing ippon. Sometimes the Wazari and no score is a little more challenging. So in this case, some of the examples, and again, these are taken right out of the IJF sport organization rules, which are referenced at the bottom of the slide. But if the athlete falls back onto 2 elbows or 2 hands, that's considered Wazari, and that's to discourage especially young people from doing that so that they don't reach back and end up injuring themselves. So if they, however, though, if they land on 1 elbow with a space between their elbow and their body, that's considered no score. And if they land on this, so it says on the side of the upper body, which would be sort of top of shoulder here, that could be considered a score. So you really have to look at the landing point of where the first impact takes place. And sometimes it's hard to do because you're looking at the big air and then you miss exactly where they land. So here it says landing on 1 elbow on the bottom or the knee with immediate continuation to their back would be Wazari. So maybe we should show the video here just so that everybody can see what that means. So you can see, can we do it again?
Yeah.
So there,
Rounding. Yeah. So there was a break here, then it's rolling.
right. Perfect, thank you. So this is, again, I think this second point here was also sort of seen in the first video about the rolling. So if there's a break from the impact, a slight break, and then a roll, then it would still be Wazari versus it has to be a impact and continuous to be a palm. And so I'm not sure how well this is streaming for everybody. For me, it's a little choppy, but you can just try to look at the landing. Yeah, so it's hard to tell from because of the way the video is streaming, and we've got almost 100 people online. So I'm sure that affects the way you see it. But if you're able to go back and look at this online, you'll see that there's a slight pause after the impact and then the roll. Thanks, Saint Laurence. Yeah, there you go. So if you look at these pictures, and again, these come from the IJF sport organization rules, and you can see that there's a difference between where they show the rolling for the Wazari versus ippon. So none of these are going straight across the back. And the other, the one on the far right is a cross at the bottom. Okay, now these ones are not considered to be Wazari, and you can see that it's because the arm, I don't know if you can see me, but their arm is sort of behind them. So if the arm's behind them, then by definition, they're going to be landing on their front here, on the front of the shoulder. So that's what you see in the first 2 videos from the left to right. And then the third one, he's landing on his elbow, but there's space between the elbow and the body. So that's also not considered a score. And then let me just move all my people here. And that's the same thing with the picture on the far right. So he's landing on an elbow, but there's a gap between their body and the elbow. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, perfect. I'll take silence to be consent.
Okay, so just some
Sorry,
illustration.
I have a question. Is it possible to ask about this matter?
Sorry, say again.
I have a question about this
Okay.
part.
Okay.
If Tori use a technique and the Uke lost his control and fell by a side, and here we cannot give a Wazari to the Tori.
So Tori did do a technique though, right?
Yes, use the technique, and by the technique, Uke so lost his control and by a side comes down or fell down, but can control himself. Because of the techniques that Tori used, we cannot give a Wazari to the Tori.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I think because the technique was initiated by Tori,
Mhm.
if Uke just loses his balance at the time that Tori's initiating a technique, then that would be considered a score. And keep in mind though, when you were describing it like this, because we don't have the benefit of being in our gis and being able to really see exactly what you're thinking about, you know, sometimes it's difficult for us to interpret exactly the situation you're trying to describe. But certainly when we're back and able to be on the mat again, it would be great if you could come and show us exactly what you mean, because I think that would help a lot for everybody on the line.
Yeah, thank you.
But thank you for asking that question. I hope that answered it.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the next portion, I'll get into a few examples illustrated. So all the evaluation that we were giving, sorry, you will see that in image. You have different scenarios, multiple way, but at least you will see few of them. So it should print in your mind with those videos. So here we will see Wazari or Ippon. So on the first one, you will see a strong action. Uke is rolling on the right shoulder over the back to the left hip. So continuation. So you will see an Ippon score. So you see the full impact and rolling. On the next one, you will see the impact of the rolling action, which is above the belt. So one of the one that Archa was showing for the Wazari. So when it's above the belt, it's Wazari score. You should see it should be better from the other side. So you see from there, you really see, oops, I don't know if, I hope it's not too choppy. It's rolling from the back. So for the third one, there is a strong action, but you will see on that one, Uke is actually overturning. So it's that Uke is falling on the other side. So following on the side means Wazari score. So you will have the view from the two cameras. The second one is clear. And you see, don't forget, just use the back patch, and you see that Uke is falling really on the other side, over flipping and falling on the side of the left shoulder. For the next one, it's really important to observe what is the first impact, and you will see on that one that it falls on both shoulders. So because it's on both shoulders, it's Ippon as a result. Be clear from the other side. And finally, the last one, on that one, you will see that the impact is on the side, and then you have a continuation, so on the back, but because there is a break, so there is one element missing for the Ippon, it's Wazari score. Okay, so few examples. By the way, those videos are available online. So and there are multiple of them. So we just took them one for illustration, but you have plenty of them and really nicely done if you're interested. Which bring me to the last portion. Oops, no, I'm missing one. Is another poll just to get you back in the game. Is I'll play one video at a time, and you have to decide if it's Wasari or no score. So let's watch the first one. Yeah, first one, 11B. I'm going. I'll play it again. Okay,
And Ross,
let's launch. Yeah.
can
Yes.
we try playing it not full screen? Maybe that would make it go faster. I had a suggestion.
Very hard
Oh,
to see the landing.
Shoot. Okay. I'm not even in full screen.
Okay, don't worry about it. Let's just play it again. One more time.
Okay.
Okay.
Was it
Okay.
better? Or?
That's
I
okay.
can-
I think people can put it together.
Yeah. And if I play it slow motion like that, can you see?
Yeah.
I'm stopping
Yeah,
right.
there, right there. Leave it there. Perfect. Okay. Now put the
Okay. Launch the poll.
Okay, you don't have to be right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It's anonymous. Just have an opinion.
Okay. I think everyone has decided. So a majority, 35% said Wasari and 65% no score. So yeah, the majority is right. There is no score, that because the reason is that, as you see, it's one of the case where the shoulder is open, is outside in your back. So actually, it's almost like falling on the front of the shoulder. So in that case, no score. Sorry. So next
Sorry.
one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
About the things that I told a few minutes ago, exactly, I mean this. Because of the Tori show the technique and the Uke lost his control and fell down. And I wanted to know this, why it doesn't have Wasari.
Okay, if you look, so have a look. Can you point see where his elbow is? His elbow is actually behind him, and that's at the point of impact. So because his elbow is behind him, he's actually landing on the front side of his shoulder, which is no score. If his elbow had been in front of him, he would have been landing on the back side of his shoulder, which would have been Wasari. So it's a very simple difference between this and this, but that's the difference between the score and the no score.
Oh.
Can I just add something? I think I understood what your question is. So you're saying the white is losing control. Is that what your question was before? If blue, as long as the Tori does not lose control, the score is dependent on how the Uke lands. Right. The issue of the Uke losing control isn't the mitigating factor in determining a score. It's the control by the Tori that is important.
Yeah,
I think by your explanation, it means that if Tori uses any techniques, it depends on the Uke's falling, we should give the score. For example, if this the front side of the Uke touch the land, we cannot give any scores or Wasari scores.
Correct.
Just the sides and the back, but in front not.
Correct.
Right. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Well said. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
A quick question. Are there any regrets why Yukos and Kokas were taken off? This would be a typical case for a Koka, maybe?
The original idea of eliminating, or the original, let's go even further. So originally, Judo only consisted of Wazari Ippon, or no score. Koka, Yuko were added in as recognition of the attempt to score by the tori. There was supposed to be a recognition of them attempting something, not getting a wazari or ippon, but recognition. As time went on, and more strategic fighting had become more important, the international committee determined that too many people were trying to just get the koka and then do just enough to avoid being thrown or avoid being given a penalty. So the idea was to now eliminate Yuko Wazari in hopes of having wins by either more wins by Ippon and Wazari, and less by minimal effort, which is not in the spirit of judo. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Yeah, so it makes also a bit easier, I find, at the end of the line to give a score. But the downside is you might see sometime it's a poor wazari, and then it's a really good wazari too close, really close from the ippon. So it's, yeah, I find it tough. It's a good thing, and then sometimes you would like to see some nuance in the wazari, because you find that you're giving a wazari and it's not that great, and some wazari are super good, and it's a limit ippon, but you cannot give the ippon. So anyway, that makes it easier, I think, to referee, and also for the public to watch. That's one of the things that and understand the rule. Okay, so let me get to the next one, which is, yeah, this one. Again, you have to determine wazari or no score. I'll play it again. Choppy again, or?
No, for me, it looks not bad. Oh, that one was a little choppy.
Okay, let me try to get back, because it's all the time, as you understood, where.
We cannot see the engine. How she lands.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm coming with a question,
Right there.
and I'm trying to give a hint on how, because you all understood is how the person is falling. So let me launch the poll.
No
Okay,
score.
you should be able.
I didn't see the video very well.
Wazari or no score?
No score. Up to.
Okay, settled.
Oh, the hands is out.
Okay, so a majority said wazari and 30% said no score. In that case, it is a wazari, because
Can
this
you
is
just
the
back it
exact-
up that little bit more, Laurence, just so you can see exactly the landing spot? That might help.
Okay, let me. So, yeah, it's right there, the landing spot.
Perfect.
So we really took those two examples because it really show the difference where the position of the shoulder is, and that's what you have to notice and to see is shoulder in, score, like this one, shoulder out, no score. Okay, and something else that we mentioned at the beginning is the position of the referee is really important. As you see right there, the referee is really on the wrong side. It's not his fault, but that's where the team, the judge team get into the picture, and really is important because you figure out that the table is right there on that side. So the table will have a beautiful view of that fall, and then we'll know right away it's a wasari. So usually you don't even need the radio. Usually when you're in the middle, you just have a glance to your table and then just have to nod with the hand, and then you understand, yeah, that works, it's a wasari. Okay, and that's how you work. And if ever they need, there is a radio, but usually just one glance, and then the table on the side can confirm with a nod. Okay. Let's meet the next one. This one, 16A. It's getting slower. We have a lot of people on. Okay. Okay, I'll play it again. So on that one, something I'll try to pull exactly where the. So it's Delgado and the falling. Oops, in the right position. Okay, let me launch the poll. Wasari or no score? You can vote.
So there's a question in the chat from Dennis. I'm just going to address it while we're waiting for the poll results to come up. Ask if the ref can change his or her mind. And so the referee doesn't have the luxury of a video replay. So they have to make a decision on what they see. But they have their referee, the judging team, to help them. And between the three of them, they think, you know, the referee can override his decision, his or her decision, based on what the judges believe. But you really need to make that decision yourself first. So, and then if you get overruled because your team thinks otherwise, or they've reviewed the video and it shows something that you didn't see because of your angle, then you just change your score, and that's fine. The most important thing is that the right call is made for the right techniques.
And if I can add something, in many of the cases, videos like these ones where it's really close, the mat chief or the supervisor will probably review the video to make sure that the call was correct. When it's this type of, when it's this kind of close, or sometimes it's better to be sure than to leave it unrewarded, let's say. Also, during the video, after the technique was executed, you heard in the background the audience yelling out, "Wasari," right? This is one of the other things that can affect referees' opinion. Sometimes they get affected, especially the newer referees. They can get affected by the audience calling out scores. I know when I was competing, my sensei used to do the same thing. So it's not that I blame them, but just to be aware that stuff like this can happen.
Okay, so for that one, yeah.
A quick question about the positioning of the referee. So in both instances, the referee is looking not at the back, but on the other hand, the referee should never be standing in the same direction as the cameras. Otherwise, the camera might be impeded. So in general, the referee is always facing the judges or is on the side. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, as a central referee, you need to be aware. You need to be really facing your judges. Typically, on at least at the Ontario tournaments, we have two cameras opposite of each other in the corners. So you need to kind of be aware of where they are and try to avoid standing in front of the cameras. At the more international level, they have multiple camera, multiple camera angles, maybe like 5, 1 in each corner and sometimes up from the top. So, referee, it's hard to not be in the way for a referee. But the referee should try to maintain a central location on the contest area and try to avoid standing in front of the camera while facing their judges.
Can you show the video again, Anne Laurence? Somebody's
Yes.
asked in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, so here you recognize a delgado, so it's a counter. So, and the score, he was more, I see the sharing, the result, 57% said Wazari, 43 no score, and it's actually a score. So as you see, white counter and blue is falling again, the shoulder inside. So it's Wazari.
Before you go on, there was another question in here. It shouldn't happen often, but can the referee request a video review? Typically, no. Typically the only time that a referee might request a video review is when a major penalty needs to be called, like a hansoku make usually being called to such as a head dive or a neck bridge kind of thing. Excuse me. Otherwise, the referee should not be calling for review of a throw to make sure that the scores or evaluation is correct.
Okay. Okay, let's get ready for the last one. So are you ready for the last one? Okay, so that one is a bit tougher. I don't know if it was easy to see. I'll try to stop. Okay. Yeah, more or less here. So let me launch the last poll question. So Wazari or no score?
I think that everyone needs to just keep in mind when you're doing these polls that the reason these video clips were the ones chosen by the IJF is because they are challenging. So if you feel like you're not getting them right, don't feel badly about that. It's just the more you watch this kind of stuff, I think the better you get at it. And these were chosen by IJF for a reason.
Okay, so on that one, a majority has chosen Wazari, and so it's just 6% have chosen no score. And on that one, actually, the minority is right. There are no score. Again, this is one of the video reviewed by the IGF. And then you might see it's not that obvious, but actually it never reached actually the back of the blue. She only fall on the butt.
Yeah,
So,
butt and one elbow, right?
And one elbow
Which
with
has
a big gap.
air between the body and the elbow.
So no score on that one.
So we can say that the back is from the belt up, correct? Anything from the belt up is the back.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so you can see we can have fun all night going through those videos. Same thing, those videos are available and you can look at them anytime. Okay, I think we reached the end of this meeting. Archer, you want to?
Yes, so our next session will be on April the 25th, where we're going to cover gestures for the scoring and for the penalties, as well as the contest area. If you've got feedback that you'd like to share with the referee committee regarding this, or even potential topics you'd like to see down the road, we're very open to hearing that. So feel free to send us an email and we will definitely have a look at it. So thank you everyone for your participation this evening. It was fun, and we're learning as well how to navigate this Zoom and the poll. So I hope it was smooth enough for everyone. And again, like I said, we're very open to feedback. So thank you, and I hope you'll continue to join us as we move forward in this series.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I just add one other thing?
Sure.
For anybody who is interested in being a referee, that does not existing referees, but anybody who wishes to start refereeing in Ontario, if you'd like to get a hold of me and let me know, I'll add you onto my referee distribution list and keep you informed of what's going on. I can also address any of your questions at that time with regards to how to get started and things like that. All right. I think my email, when I send out that form, I'll include my email address on there as well.
And I believe we recorded the session, so hopefully if it recorded properly, we might be able to post the link on the website. Perhaps we have to make sure we did that correctly and that it's actually a usable video. So
We should also post the presentation because there are a bunch of links to the video. If you want to replay it, it would be easier. Okay,
Excellent.
let us figure out. It was the
Awesome.
first one, so first try. I think it went well.
It was
But if
great.
you have
Thank you.
any question, thanks a lot. If you have any comments, let us know. We're here to get back in shape.
And maybe someday soon we'll be back on the mat and see each other in person.
Perfect.
Okay, good
Thank
night,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. See you next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night.
Good night. Bonsoir.
Night. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye, Frank. Maybe we can just stay on for a couple minutes and I debrief stuff.
Yes.